So welcome back, guys. We are having this today's podcast with Champion series, episode 3 of this series, with none other than our very beloved and the most dynamic officer, military veteran, Major Nithi CJ Ma'am. She has a lot of accolades to her credit. Despite being an army veteran, she is a certified yoga and wellness instructor. She's a Fit India ambassador. Uh, Also, she has had her credit, field operations, her language interpretation and intelligence skills to her credit. Despite that, friends, she is also a non-verbal communication specialist. Hopefully, we are through. With the blessings of the heavens, let us start the podcast, and hopefully, we are able to get through to ma'am this time around. Just trying to get across. This is hopefully we are through. Patience is indeed a virtue, and ours is being tested. Okay, so we hopefully we are getting across to ma'am this time, and our patience is being rewarded. Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am? Yeah, finally again I can see you. I can see you, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I hope you are finally able to see me.
Yeah. Finally we're through. Ma'am, I can see you, but I can't hear you, ma'am. Can anyone confirm we both are visible? Anyone from the audience? Okay.
Yes, both.
Ma'am is not. Ma'am, you are not audible. You both are visible. Yeah, ma'am, you are not audible actually. Uh, can you hear me, ma'am? Can anyone in the audience? My audio is clear.
Uh,
No, I think some issue with the internet, I guess, at your end maybe, because it's showing ma'am is not visible. Uh,
I think so. It's better now.
Ma'am, it's showing buffering at your end.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I'm able to see you. I'm able to see you.
I can see you,
Try.
but we will go ahead with it. We
हाँ,
will go
we'll go
ahead.
ahead. Let
Yeah,
it come. हाँ, आ
it's
जाएगा.
audible, no? I am audible, right? I am audible.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
audible to me.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So, good evening, friends. Jai Hind to all of you. So our today's guest in podcast with Champions episode 3 is none other than Major Nithi CJ. Ma'am has a very diverse accolades to her credit. Despite being an army veteran from the INT Corps, which is one of the most specialized corps in the army, she is a certified yoga and wellness instructor. She's a Fit India ambassador, a strategic advisor to Worthy Store. She has had, to her credit, field operations, language interpretation, and a lot of other things. She has been awarded with GOC in C Commendation Card in 2015. Apart from that, she has a personal professional versatility in military grade de-risking and serving as a strategic advisor. She is a founder to NERA of the NERA Wellbeing, where she imparts sustainable solutions for lifestyle through yogic management. And adding on to her, plethora of her achievements, she will be delivering a TED talk in I Am Bangalore in the coming week. So a lot
Yes.
of accolades and congratulations to ma'am on that. So
Thank you so much.
without holding you enough from the audience, ma'am, let's start with your whatever you want to say, your introduction note to the aspirants who are students, or to the audience that have joined us today.
Well, firstly, thank you so much, Navjot, and thank you so much, dear audience, for being here. You have already spoken so much about me, and as int operators, we are not used to being spoken so much about. So, we have covered it well. I think so. You have covered all that, which I'm very sure is enough for the audience. And of course, as we take the discussion ahead, they will be able to get more insights into whatever little experiences that I have had. So I joined Academy in 2009, and then thereafter in 2010 I got commissioned. My first posting was Tezpur, Assam, and
Absolutely.
uh, thereafter I did a language specialization. I did Pashto, and I went to Dhampur, J&K, and after that to Amritsar. And then my last tenure again was
Super.
Tezpur,
Yeah.
and that's where we connected. So
Yes.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, so that has been a beautiful 10 years journey for me in the in the Indian Army, and of course in the Corps of Intelligence, where I got to learn so much, and I'm in deep gratitude to all my seniors and juniors who have you know uh, made it a beautiful and memorable journey for me.
So that's so lovely, ma'am. So, ma'am, let's turn the clock back to
Yeah.
the formative years
Mhm.
through your childhood. And what's that? Since you are a third generation army officer, if I'm not wrong,
Second.
uh,
Yeah. My
second
father was in
generation.
the army.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what is it one childhood memory that you can recount and tell the audiences that kind of motivated and inspired you to join the army?
Now this is not a very it's a very different experience which motivated me to join the forces. So my dad was always mostly posted in the valley, and in 90s, I'm talking of the 90s, the valley was not how
It is
it is.
now.
I won't say it is very good, but I'm very sure it's much better than what it was during the 90s. So I've
True.
seen dad, I've seen my father in all the. So he was in the core of signals, in communications,
Okay. Okay.
and
Okay.
I have seen him, how he conducted himself there, and how it and the responsibility angle of it. Of course, those privileges are one factor, but more towards the responsibility. How the locals used to look up to him, in terms of the support the Indian Army provided there, and so these interactions, these experiences that I had there, I felt that okay, it is a role of a lot of responsibility. It is not just becoming an officer, but also being someone to be looked up to as a leader. And I think so that was so the inspiration was through and through there, for me. And it's just that. at a very young age, at I think so around 11 itself, I decided that if I have to take up um um, a responsibility, then it has to be towards the society, towards the nation. So that was always there, and I still remember when I was in probably 10th or 11th standard, and my father always kept one pair of uniform at home, properly decorated, and the uniform was at home. And like the innocence of any kid. And I just sneaked into his room and I took it and I wore it. And I was like, I asked my mom that, Amma, how it looks on me. So, so she said, you look great. So, so those small little inspirations and those things have been there throughout. And so this is one of my most fondest memory, if you ask. Uh, I think so. The whole childhood had so many such beautiful experiences for me.
And ma'am, you literally, I would say literally and metaphorically did fit into his shoes. And
Yes,
you yourself has a very decorated career in the military.
absolutely. And if somebody, goes through my page where, there are a couple of photographs of mine with dad, I look like an exact copy of him with short hair.
Replica.
Yeah,
Replica.
I look exactly like his replica.
Absolutely.
So yes, it's really a matter of pride for me that
In
I could
fact,
step into his shoes.
similarly, it would have been, a matter of pride from him as well, that
Absolutely.
his daughter making him proud and joining the forces, wearing the olive greens. Indeed, it's a matter of pride for every parent in that
Absolutely.
sense.
In fact, when I joined an academy, he was posted here in a place called Mao,
Wow.
where
Okay.
they have the training center for the Military
Yes,
College
yes,
of Telecom Engineering.
yes,
So
yes.
they also train cadets there. And when I came on my term break and they saw, that I'm a cadet, and generally people expect, okay, daughter, beti aa rahi hai, so people would
Mhm.
expect कि अच्छा college में पढ़ रहे होंगे,
Mhm.
long hair, typical feminine
Yes, yes,
features. And
yes,
here
yes.
is a girl who doesn't look like a girl. So it was, and many officers walked up to him. I've heard, I mean, over a period of time, who have said to him that it was I mean, it's such a matter of pride to see what our sons have not done, your daughter has done.
Your
So,
daughter has done
so
so
that's
definitely.
that's a real. It was something that I felt that I could see that pride on his face.
Absolutely. Ma'am, building on that one, I think both mom and dad they play equal role in our upbringing and making us
Absolutely,
capable enough. So would like
bilkul.
to hear more about auntie as well, about ma'am as well, how she her part of the story as well also.
So mom has been always, and she's still teaching. She's an English teacher,
Okay. Oh,
and
wonderful.
yeah, she teaches the senior classes, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Okay.
And when I was very young, I still remember Dad was posted as registrar in Sainik School Chittorgarh, and
Mm-hmm.
she was preparing at that time for the IAS.
Okay.
And yeah, she was preparing for the IAS. And because we got posted to a different place, she could not give the mains.
Oh.
During that time, the whole thing, the process was much difficult than nowadays. Everything is
Yes.
online. You get your admit
Right.
card here. You can just change the center whenever you want.
Absolutely.
All those
Absolutely. Absolutely.
facilities were not there way back in 90s.
Absolutely.
तो उनका इसीलिए ना she has always wanted that I should be in a position of uh, authority where I am disseminating um, whatever leadership requirements which is expected out of me. I'm doing it as equal and as at par with the male counterparts. So she has always been that support system for me.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So being a daughter, being children of
Mhm.
teachers, because my mom is still also a principal currently, and she's also a teacher. So I can really
Okay.
relate to the kind of upbringing you must have got, because the strict taskmaster master at school does the same at home as well. So
Absolutely. I
that
mean,
happens.
अभी भी मैं घर जाऊं, if I go to my home, that is my parents' place, अभी भी मेरे को वो 5:30 बजे हो जाता है कि यार get up, it's time to go.
Exactly.
So even my mom has played a very vital role in preparing me for the physicals.
Absolutely,
वो सुबह सुबह
absolutely.
उठ जाती थी and she used to say it's time for your run, get up, go running.
Okay, okay.
And even the diet, the meals, everything, she took very good care of,
Absolutely, absolutely.
me. And my father was not around when I was preparing. He was
Okay,
posted at
okay.
a different place, yes.
Okay,
So,
okay.
that constant motivation, that constant, कहते हैं ना वो एक डंडा मास्टर जो होना चाहिए घर में, she has always been that one for me. And we have settled in Bhilai, and at that time, I'm talking of 2009. uh, I started my preparation in 2006, 7. उस टाइम पे ना people didn't have that kind of an exposure कि army क्या
Absolutely
है.
right.
And
Yes,
I was
yes.
like,
Absolutely.
girls जाना तो
Ekdam,
और भी ज्यादा. So she
ekdam,
has
ekdam.
always been that, कहते हैं ना, the rock of Gibraltar for me, stood like that. And she was like, nothing, no conventions should affect my child's dreams. So
Absolutely.
she has been a very, very strong support. And dealing the fact that her husband is not around, she has to take care of the child. हम उस समय घर बनवा रहे थे, पूरा घर हम दोनों ने मिलके बनवाया है. Taking care of these
Mhm.
small little things. Construction of a house is not a easy
It's a,
task.
it's a,
And
it's a
in
huge task.
that, you are dealing a society which is so skeptical about you because there are two ladies staying alone and your husband is not
Absolutely.
around. People talk all kind of things. So
Absolutely.
it's, of course, she has a very vital role to play in this.
Ma'am, so your father inspired you, and but the real Fauji in your life was your mom. She was the actual Fauji, the
Absolutely.
task. She was the taskmaster.
Yes.
So if I had to put it in poetic verse for the praise of our mothers, so it's like वैसे तो कोई भी रिश्ता छोटा या बड़ा नहीं होता. वैसे
जी
तो कोई भी रिश्ता छोटा या बड़ा नहीं होता.
जी
पर मेरी माँ के बराबर कोई खड़ा नहीं होता. मेरी माँ के बराबर
बिल्कुल.
कोई खड़ा नहीं. So I
Very
think that expression really exemplifies for ma'am as well how she really brought you up in those tough times and all the hardships she had endured to make you a
Yes.
successful army officer and a successful person, human being
And
at the first place.
during that time ना वहाँ उस समय कैसे होता था, like I'll tell you, 90s, I was in fourth fifth
Hmm.
standard उस समय ना.
Hmm.
And I was as a kid, I used to fall ill a lot. बहुत ज्यादा मैं बीमार पड़ती थी. और ये
Okay.
अकेले, she used to take me to hospital, she's running around getting me treated, taking care of me. And उस समय तो मोबाइल तो दूर की
Yes,
बात, इवन
yes,
लैंडलाइन you couldn't
yes,
speak.
yes.
So dad would say, he would just tell on phone ki I will not be available for the next I don't know how many
Okay.
days. That's all. And here is that constant fear because आप न्यूज़ देख रहे हो, श्रीनगर में अटैक हुआ है,
Hmm.
अवंतीपुर में अटैक हुआ है, सोपोर में
Hmm.
टेररिस्ट अटैक,
Hmm.
in that situation, and the whole build up before Kargil war. Oh, that was a terrible
Absolutely,
phase.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
in that phase, she has constantly been there. And she just praying कि कुछ ना हो बस, that is the only thing which
Hmm.
kept her going, कि कुछ नहीं
Yes,
होगा.
yes, yes,
है
yes,
ना?
yes.
So
So it takes
definitely she
really
has done her real bit of, I mean,
It really
it's
takes,
not bits, it is actually too
nerves of
much.
steel. It takes
Yeah,
nerves of steel to be a Fauji
absolutely.
wife because you are as involved in the on the war front as the actual soldiers who are fighting on the front.
Correct.
So credits and kudos to all such ladies who are bearing up with that.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as you mentioned, like being a woman in those times, making your way into the army. As I mentioned in the previous podcast, also with Major Prajakta, ma'am, that the first person through the wall always gets bloodied. So
Hmm.
it's making that path for yourself. And since, ma'am, you were commissioned into the Int Corps, so how difficult or how easy was it being an Int Corps officer and making your own path in a field that has its diverse and unique set of challenges?
Okay, I will probably explain this with few anecdotes. So the first is when I reached my unit. Now already there was a woman officer in my unit. my predecessor, from whom I had to take over, was a women officer, and there were many, and she was the only women officer apart from me. And still, when the first PT happened, the one of the JCOs, he says that, "Ma'am, आप चाहे तो आप चल सकते हैं. If you have, if you don't want to run, you can walk." I said, and I was aghast. And this is after a woman officer already being there in the unit. This is
Absolutely.
yeah. So,
Mentality.
it takes time. It takes time. And it is not just the first person entering, but along with that first person, how we are consistently following and we are ensuring that the path is made. Now,
Absolutely.
consistency again is a very bloodied process. It is not an easy thing.
Absolutely.
So जब उन्होंने वैसे बोला, तो my next response was कि साहब, हम सब दौड़ेंगे और मेरे पीछे जितने लोग आएंगे, they will get something nice.
They will get
So,
some
yeah. So, and it was not from a place of anger or anguish. It was from a place of
disappointment.
bonding with my own truth. No, not even disappointment. It is from a
Okay.
place of, okay, I am a lieutenant. I'm new to the unit. Like any
Okay.
other officer, I have to prove my salt.
Yes, yes.
And trust me, Navjot, throughout my career, where I kept my gender to one side. I didn't allow
Absolutely.
it at any point to cause any hindrance in my conduct, in the way I'm doing my tasks. कभी मैंने उसको बीच में आने नहीं दिया. Why I'm saying this, sometimes we as women officers also, अगर हम बहुत ज़्यादा वो gender conscious रहेंगे ना, that will make things difficult for us, and especially in our trade craft,
Yes,
where
yes.
we are constantly changing
Yeah,
identities.
yeah, absolutely.
है ना? So most important thing is to understand that you are a lieutenant, you are newly commissioned to the unit, तो आप यहाँ सीखने आए हो, और ये सीखने का माहौल आप ही को अपने लिए बनाना है.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
This is both ways. Trust me. I have been a mentor to. I've been mentor to both women officers as well as
Male of-
gentlemen officers. Yeah, and trust me, I don't find any difference in both of them as a
Mhm.
senior. I've seen some of the women officers doing so much better than the male officers. कोई उसमें दो राय नहीं है, like the way they have approached to the profession. So I think so if you
Absolutely.
keep the approach of learning to be a better professional, things become much easier. And put things forthright. आपको जो चीज सही नहीं लगती है, you have to say it. Like another instance where I walked into a senior officer's office, and I went in, and I was in my that was those initial days where I have to interact with people, so I had to be in uniform. वरना तो हम लोग का यूनिफॉर्म तो it is
होता
just
ही
a
है, इनको वालों का तो कोई
ceremonial
यूनिफॉर्म
thing.
नहीं है.
हाँ.
Yeah.
So he said that, हाँ बेटा आओ अंदर. So I said, sir, I'm Lieutenant Nithi. So he said, हाँ, I heard it, beta. Sit. I said, no, sir, you didn't. I'm Lieutenant Nithi. I would prefer if you address me as that instead of calling me
Better.
beta and all. So this is something important. As juniors, हम जो, and as officer, I remember मेरे mentor हमेशा बोलते थे, whatever you accept, that is what you
Yes.
will get. So you
Yes,
should be
yes,
very
yes.
sure what is the threshold you are keeping, and what are your standards. वो आप
And
तभी maintain कर पाओगे.
what you allow in your presence
Yes,
becomes your standard. So that's what
yes.
you have to be very particular about.
And later in my service, when some male officers used to come and say, यार नीति तू अलग है यार, वो woman officer. I say, firstly, sir, मेरे पास उनके बारे में आप gossip मत करो. It is not going to
Absolutely.
help you in any way.
Yes.
And secondly, I will not blame that woman officer. I will blame you all as seniors. How you have ensured that they learn.
Groom her.
Learning environment as seniors जो आप देते हो, प्रोफेशनल एनवायरनमेंट जो आप देते हो, वैसे ही जूनियर्स बनेंगे. इट इज अ मोल्ड. वो मोल्ड जब वो सांचा जैसा होगा, वैसे ही उसके अंदर लोग होंगे. इट डजंट
बिल्कुल,
मैटर
बिल्कुल,
व्हाट इज द जेंडर.
बिल्कुल.
So
तो
yeah,
मैम
so these have been some real challenges which I think so अब जाके थोड़ा होना चाहिए काम. And
Mhm.
And I hope I'm firmly hoping that it should reduce, because you know, we cannot work to our best capabilities if we keep bringing this gender thing in
Bias,
between. हाँ, ये
prejudice.
bias को आप लेके आएंगे तो आप कभी काम नहीं कर सकते हो. You can't, and our field is something which needs brains,
एकदम,
and it doesn't matter it comes from a male or it comes from a
एकदम.
female.
Absolutely, absolutely, ma'am. So, ma'am, मतलब see, how do you see? It's been 3 decades now since women have been making their way in the army and
Yeah,
recently in the command roles as well.
yeah.
So, what are the what how do you see it going further, and whether the mentality where how can we take this thing a step further, inspiring more young women to join the forces, and they in fact since the intelligence bureau notification came, many girl aspirants they've been asking, sir, any high issue with the height, or can we serve, what kind of, so demystify it for the women candidates who really want, but they have certain the biases or doubts in their mind about joining the forces.
See, firstly, the doubts are coming because of the environment which has been given to them socially, and we all are to be blamed for it. The social
Absolutely.
environment. The other day and today I had put that as a post also. The other day,
Okay.
I was interacting with somebody, and she asked me that, Nithi, I have a question for you. I said, yeah, please. So she said, are you a lady first or an officer first? I said, I'm always an officer first. That goes without saying, but I don't want to completely deny the fact that I'm the spouse of someone, and
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
an officer. So you can't deny these facts. Your deniability will not help you, firstly. But at the same time, she said the next thing she said made me think. She said, my question to you now is, why is there a question in the first place? Is a male officer asked a similar question, are you a male first or an officer first? Doesn't
Absolutely,
happen.
absolutely. Yeah.
So this normalizing women in the forces have to come from within. The first thing that the doubt is coming, will I be able to do? Will I, as a woman, survive in this setup? Is doubt in your capabilities. तो
Mm-hmm.
मैं तो ये कहती हूँ कि ये डाउट ही क्यों आ रहा है आपके दिमाग में?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
You are looking for a professional path. You have an opportunity in front of you. Please visit the official websites, whether it is Army, whether it is Navy, whether it is Air Force, whether it is
Absolutely.
paramilitary
Absolutely.
forces, IB. Just visit the official website. They have given some criteria requirements,
Absolutely.
and these
Yeah.
criteria requirements are there in job description. हर field में होता है.
Everywhere, everywhere it is.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
If you are fulfilling those requirements, you are eligible. If you are not fulfilling the requirements, you are not eligible. So the question
Mm-hmm.
of eligibility is clarified in the
Yeah.
notification itself. Now let's
Absolutely.
talk of whether you are able to do it or not. So whether you are able to do it or not, you have to see for yourself, are you prepared for it? Is your social construct allowing you to step into this? So now इसमें दो चीजें हो रही हैं. या तो वो सपोर्टिव होगा, या आपका सोशल
Mm-hmm.
कंस्ट्रक्ट नहीं होगा.
एकदम.
और अगर नहीं है,
एकदम.
आर यू रेडी टू टेक द लीप?
Absolutely. How are you
So
overcoming that? How are you overcoming that?
exactly. And trust me,
Yeah.
there is no profession in this world where you can say कि ये बहुत आसान है.
Bread and butter you won't get everywhere, na? Bread and butter, life isn't easy.
Life
Life
isn't
isn't easy.
easy, and it will be a balance. If somebody is in
Absolutely.
hospitality, as in working in a hotel, a hotelier, आप उनसे पूछो, उनकी life easy नहीं है. Recently, I was interacting with somebody, and he said that hoteliers go through a lot of go through a significant degree of domestic violence, and
Okay.
the reason is कि जब आप when you are interacting the whole day 24 hours, you are doing good evening, whether
Okay. Okay.
सामने वाला गाली भी दे रहा है ना,
Trauma.
तो आप
Trauma.
आप हंस के बोल रहे हो, where will the venting happen? The
घर पे
venting. So how
हम्म,
socially, how emotionally, how physically you are prepared. प्रिपरेशन तो बात की बात है, पहले आप एलिजिबिलिटी देखो.
जी
इफ यू आर एलिजिबल, then you start working for it. All you need, there's a very interesting TED talk, and if somebody, if you try grit, TED talk likhiye और grit type kariye, and you will get this particular teacher's, again, she's a teacher who is giving this TED talk, and she says, more than passion and perseverance or even skill sets, what is most required is grit. It is grit which runs your passion and perseverance. लोग मोटिवेशन सोचते हैं, लोग इंस्पिरेशन सोचते हैं. मोटिवेशन, इंस्पिरेशन इज डायनेमिक. टुडे आई एम
टेम्पररी
इंस्पायर्ड बाय
टेम्पररी
somebody. Tomorrow, if I delete my Instagram page, these people will, everybody will forget who's Major Nithi Sijal. Let's be honest. Okay, the
एब्सोल्युटली
memory is so out of sight, out of mind.
या
But it is an individual's grit, the determination that I have to do this, come what may. That grit will keep your passion. The grit will keep your perseverance. And let that I also add, and let that grit not be run by just I want to wear the uniform, or मुझे, you know, the why I'm saying this. आप सोच रहे हो कि I want to, I want to wear the uniform. अब आप wear the uniform बोल करके अगर आप इंच कोर में आ जाएंगे तो आपको यूनिफॉर्म पहनने का मौका ही नहीं मिलेगा. Okay.
मौका ही नहीं मिलेगा.
है ना? And then you think that, okay, no, I have come for adventure. आप एडवेंचर का सोच के आओगे, but you will be put as an ADAM officer, admin in an administrative role. So you keep your why should be something more intense. It has to be something more empowering. It can't be something so limited. It can't be even things like कि मुझे किसी को prove करना है तो I want to prove I'm a strong girl. No.
That's very shallow kind of vision
That's
to
a
have.
very shallow vision. That's a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
shallow vision.
yeah.
So your vision has to be something very, very intense to be in such field. Not
Absolutely.
all women come into the forces. Not all women become spies. There's a reason why, because they have something very unique. Not all men also go into such professions. Not all
Absolutely.
men become sportsmen. So ये कुछ, where all professions have their own importance, there are these certain professions which expect something very different from you, and that is grit. It is not even X factor. It is grit that is expected from us. And
Ma'am,
if we don't have that grit,
we can't
you
be
will
like,
never be happy in the, you will clear CDS, you will clear the written exams, you will clear the SSBs. आप जब organization में जाओगे, when you'll see again a set of people, then the myth busting starts, and you will say कि यार मैं इसके लिए आया था क्या? So
ma'am, we see on social media a lot of these royal entries, these things, creating a buzz around maybe IAS, IPS, military. So it is not just glitz and glamour, there is more to it.
yes,
Frederick
there is
Frederick
bloodshed,
Frederick
there
Nietzsche
is like
Frederick Nietzsche
what
has
is
rightly
blood?
said, if you have Frederick Nietzsche, that very famous philosopher, he has said that if you have a why, if you have a why to live for, you can endure almost any how. So why should be clear. Why are you going to a certain profession?
Yeah.
So hows will eventually fall in place. So you're saying
Yeah.
something, ma'am. I just interject.
Yeah, I was saying especially for the girls. अभी आप इतना अभी से इतना सोच रहे हो मैं क्या survive कर पाऊंगी, कैसा होगा ये, इतना. Firstly, too much information is also not needed. I personally
Right.
feel that, है ना? अब ट्रेनिंग में ही हम ले लें. The training is, of course, there are different timings for the women, there are different timings for the men, but at the same time, you have to go through all the tests.
Right.
There will be health, menstrual issues you will have. There will be hormonal changes. There will be so many things. And why for a woman? Let's be honest, we are biologically different from the male counterparts. It is not, and उस समय ये बैठ के नहीं सोचना है कि oh my god मेरे साथ क्या हो गया है. It's perfectly fine. you will
Yeah.
have your course mates, your course mates will become such a support system. That's when you will realize कि ये साथ में होंगे ना तो I can win any battles of the world. So itna don't so the younger generation has this, they think a lot. It's good to think, but then you have to put a stop somewhere.
Absolutely.
Believe in the process, have faith in the process. The process is always transparent. It's never to hide something. And I would say, when I walked up to my father, I said, Dad, what is your advice? I'm going to the academy. You know what he said? He said, it is your fate. You go, do whatever you can.
Go and
Only
fend
thing
for it.
is, fend for it. He said, pass your tests in time. And the second thing he said was, don't get injured.
Yeah,
These were
that's all.
he didn't tell me what is going to happen. I didn't know, I knew nothing what is going to happen in academy. Even after being from a military background, even after, having couple of friends in the army, वो भी नहीं बताते, or my father also didn't tell me. And trust me, that surprise element, अब क्या होने वाला है, actually makes it
Helps.
more
That
interesting.
helps. That's enjoyable. That's
Yes,
actually important also. Important also.
absolutely.
So, ma'am, certain experiences from the world of intelligence, if you would like to share some interesting stories from India, from your own tenure, from across the world, anything you would like to, that intrigues, that may intrigue the audiences, anything that you would like to share.
In terms of what, because see, you also know how easy or how difficult it is to share.
Yeah.
But
It's unclassified information only.
yeah,
Something
but yes,
that's
something which can help the woman candidates is that, how diverse can your role be? Is that once I had to dress up like a guy, and fun literally 3-4 days, we were given a task, and for those 3-4 days I had to look like a boy and go interact with people, and that demanded a lot of physical
yeah,
endurance
agility and
also.
strength. Yeah,
Yes,
endurance.
yes, yes. So these will be the kind of things. अगर इस समय हम doubt में रहेंगे ना कि oh, will I be able to do it? Then it will be a tricky situation for them.
Right. Any books you would like to recommend? I mean, for
Yes, of
aspirants.
course, of course. You should read. So two of my favorite books is and of course, to read about women spies. I
Hmm.
mean, the one thing I would like, there are many women spies who have done excellent work, and I would like to talk about Mata Hari. Everybody knows, Mata
Mata
Hari,
Hari.
Neera Arya,
Yeah.
all these people, Inayat Khan, Noor Inayat Khan, all these
Yeah.
are well-known people. But there is
As
one name I want the girls, especially the girls, to go and read about. And of course, even the gentlemen who are
yeah.
watching today,
Yeah.
is Saraswati Rajamani.
Okay.
Saraswati
Even
Rajamani.
I'm not aware.
Yes.
I'm
So
not aware.
she her birthday is 1st of January, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
So Saraswati Rajamani was in the Indian National Army. She was
Okay.
yeah, she was in INA of Subhash Chandra Bose,
Oh,
and
lovely.
she was the उनका ओरिजिनल नाम कुछ और है. Saraswati
Hmm.
Rajamani was
That
the
is the
name given by,
alliance they have to take.
that name was given by Subhash Chandra Bose to her. And she was a gold miner's daughter. So her father used to own a gold mine. Yeah. And वो सारे पैसे वो गोल्ड ला करके, because resources were less, she came and donated everything to INA. So Subhash Chandra Bose thought that it's probably naive innocence के
Mhm.
कारण वो बच्ची ने ऐसा कर दिया.
Mhm.
And he just took that gold, reached his home, her home, gave that thing, and she was like, no, this is for the army. And that was the kind
Passion.
of motivation.
Passion.
And then she went to Rangoon in
Okay.
Burma.
Yeah.
Her name, she went undercover as a boy. She was there as a boy, and she came to know of some inputs on some conspiracy being planned to assassinate Subhash Chandra Bose, and then to gather information on that, she went as a dancer. So a boy, you just see the switching of the
Yeah,
identity. She went as a dancer in one of the events, and that's how she got all the information about it. She got,
absolutely.
and one of her aide got caught, and in one of the I don't know exact situation, but it is there very much on the internet. She got
Mhm.
shot on her leg.
Okay.
Still, she escaped. So,
Yeah, these are very
these are
interesting
stories.
stories. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and very interesting stories.
and women from our country,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So when you say women in a niche role as intelligence, I think so they have already been there for long.
Absolutely, absolutely. Breaking barriers and breaking that glass ceiling and making way for others
Yes,
to follow suit. And in fact, the world of
absolutely.
intelligence and espionage is really unique in the way that the challenges it offers. Because it is not like any conventional job, any regular job that you're doing 9 to 5 job. It's a
Yes,
24/7, and that too you are behind the curtains,
yeah,
and you're taking alibis, you're taking that cover, you making that supreme sacrifice and going unnoticed. So that's the kind of
absolutely.
that. And now currently I am reading this book. I would recommend the Spy Chronicles, RNAWISI by Asad Durrani and A.S. Dulat Saab. So I would recommend the aspirants to you can really go through this book as well.
Which one? Which one? Sorry, which
Ma'am, this
book?
is Spy Chronicles, RNAWISI.
Yes,
So
yes.
very very
I've
interesting
gone
read.
through this book. I've
Okay,
read
okay.
this book when it was
Okay.
launched somewhere in 2020 it was launched, if I'm not
19, yeah, 19 or 20,
2019.
1920.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2019 it
yeah.
was launched.
So
So
there
I've
is
gone through it. It's a very nice
one
book.
one incident I would like to quote from this book about Osama bin Laden being captured by the CIA. So what
Yes.
actually happened? Even Asad Durrani he mentions that it will probably we handed over Osama to the CIA people because if we accept that he's there, we
Yeah.
are kind of we are having a abashment, and if we hand him over openly, the people in the Pakistan who consider him as a hero they would be kind of so similar interesting stories for people who need
Yes.
some insights into the world of espionage.
Yes.
Yeah, so ma'am,
You should also
yeah,
read a book called Adrishya. It is a
yeah, yeah.
collection of spy personalities. It's a TV
I think
serial,
there is
but it has
a
been
series also.
compiled into a, yeah,
Series, yeah, series,
yeah.
yeah. I think
So
I've
it
seen
has
a
been
few
compiled
episodes.
into a book, and it's a very interesting book. You must read, especially
Absolutely.
our viewers can read that book.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So there is, I mean, lot to talk about the world of intelligence. We can go on hours and hours or end. So
Yeah.
little bit about your OTA days, ma'am. I mean, a little bit about your OTA days. How was it when you transitioned from to the OTA and then your first posting? That
Mhm.
experience of earning your ranks and getting your stripes through your sweat and toil and earning the respect of your jawans as well as the seniors, which you mentioned earlier as well. So, a little bit if you want to share about that as well.
Sure. I mean, OTA was a very different experience for us. Um, we were uh, we were just 26 cadets,
Okay, okay,
women cadets
okay.
at that time in the academy, and our seniors were again a handful of people. So in the whole academy, you're just handful, and
Mhm.
you have to train, you have to prove your
Salt.
worth. So so something which I can share, which can help aspirants as to how the academy training for women, or how it looks like, is initially you are prepared to. I always say this, that it is phased out. The initial training is to become a soldier. You have to be a
Mhm.
good soldier to become a good officer. That's
Absolutely.
the key criteria. So it involves, of course, the physical tests, where you have 5 kilometer, then you have 10, 15, and then therefore thereon it is a never-ending run which happens.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
of course, you are trained in tactics, war tactics, in history, in reading about administration, how the military administration, military
Works.
leadership functions. And all these skills you develop. Of course, we don't have something very specific for different corps and different regiments, but the basic military training is like this.
Mm-hmm.
And um, there are of course, so there are sports also. You have to be so for women we have novices judo. There is nowadays there is boxing also, but
Okay.
I think so there is boxing. But during our time we had novices judo, we had handball, we had basketball, volleyball, everything. So all those activities are there. You learn about the army traditions, the military traditions, and of course, 2 months before you pass out, the preparation for the passing out parade
The
starts.
officials.
Yeah. One very interesting incident I remember the first day on the drill ground. Now, it is a privilege, as a
Yes.
junior in the academy, when you move to the drill ground to do your first drill, it is again a privilege. Because उससे पहले
Absolutely.
ना आप normal playground में आपको करा रहे होते हैं.
Okay.
But then
Okay.
you transition, yes, after
Okay.
2 to 3 months, you transition. You are
Mm-hmm.
taken to the drill square,
Square.
and who I see is my drill SM. So the drill SM was he was my instructor in the NCC.
अरे
तो
अरे ओके
in the NCC.
सीरियस
हाँ,
ओके ओके
तो मैंने कहा अरे बाप रे ये तो बड़ा मुश्किल हो गया मामला. When I went there, he saw me and he recognized and he said, "Ye LC fallout." And I went to him and I gave a nice salute and he was like, "हाँ CJ पतला हो गया है, good, अच्छे से training करना." So that has been, like academy had many familiar faces for me, but I ensured that that should never be
No, that shouldn't come out.
that should come out. In fact, in my passing out parade also, there's something called as parents dinner night. So you have your parents are there,
One day
and the
prior to
adjutant
the
asked, yes, one day prior to the passing out parade, and the adjutant asked my father that Nithi never told us that she's a serving officer's daughter.
daughter.
uh, yeah, so मैं मनी मन वही सोच रही थी. I love my life. I don't want to be, I don't want to be in the spotlight and
Yeah, yeah,
so somewhere I think so that requirement of being unassuming
yes,
or
yes.
not anonymous, but unassuming
I'm
has always
assuming.
been there. And it's a very key strength to become a good intelligence operative. Be very
Absolutely.
unassuming. देख के आपको पता नहीं चलना चाहिए कि you can be military like at a point of time. You can be like जब अमृतसर में हम posted थे तो I used to dress up like the girls there. तो अगर आप if you've been to Amritsar,
Yeah, yeah,
if you go towards Ranjit Avenue, उस side वगैरह
yeah.
आप
Ranjit,
जाएंगे,
very
so the
popular place.
crowd is a very different kind.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you go towards the temple, आप हरमंदिर साहिब की तरफ जाएंगे, तो वहाँ के लोगों का locals का dressing sense is very
अलग
different. So
है,
वहाँ पे you will
अलग
find girls in patiala shalwar and kurta and dupatta and typical gut bana
है. You have
के
done a very. It seems
Punjabi
you done a
dhoti
very,
पहन के.
very
Yes,
good recce of the place. It shows your skills.
exactly. So I used to dress up accordingly. So all that thing, basic military training में भी जो सिखाते हैं, dress according to the occasion, dress according to the place, all these things, and these characteristics help you throughout being a in your journey.
Right, right, right. Ma'am, I can't hear you. Ma'am, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I think yeah. I think something wrong with the internet. Can you hear me now,
You're
ma'am?
audible. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can hear you now.
Now
Yeah,
I think I couldn't hear you. Yeah.
no problem.
Yes.
So that was academy, and when I came to after getting commissioned,
Ma'am,
um,
in
the mom.
briefly in between, please mention about your Antim Pag moment, so to say, that
Oh,
you know that is the prize, that is the prize moment, so which we sweat
so
and toil
Antim
for. So
Pag has been very special for me because, of course, that you pass out, but something which happened thereafter is more special to me,
okay,
and I'll tell you how. So अंतिम पग के समय I all the time मेरे दिमाग में ये चल रहा था. My dad had told me कि बेटा ध्यान से ना वो अंतिम पग में ना वो the slab is very slippery, so you might fall
okay,
down.
okay,
So be very
okay,
careful.
okay, okay,
And you know, like 2 months, you have been practicing going till that, turning and coming back,
okay.
right? So that
Yeah,
has
yeah,
been what you have been
yeah,
practicing. But now
absolutely.
you will be crossing it. The
Crossing
moment you
that.
cross that, you feel, yeah, you know, it's like the feeling of being baptized. You're like,
Hmm.
I am I really made it? Okay, okay, ho gaya. You know, that is the thing. And from there you have to run after because you have to go for your pippin.
Change. You have to
हाँ
change.
हाँ तो उसके पहले आप अपना राइफल लेके आप भागते हो यू रन सो वी आई रिमेम्बर वी ऑल रैन टिल द मेस वहां जाके राइफल रख रहे थे एंड आई टर्न एंड देयर इज लेफ्टिनेंट सुशील खजूरिया इज माय
Okay,
कोर्समेट who
okay,
got
okay.
Kirti Chakra posthumous
Yes, yes, yes,
in a Gurez operation.
yes, yes,
And he
yes.
saw me and we both hugged each other and he was like, CJ, we became an officer. हम बन गए यार officer. So that I think so it's a dream moment. आज भी when I went to OTA after commissioning also for the Golden Jubilee. And जब वहां पे आप अंतिम पक्ष से बाहर निकलते हो तो there is a roll of honor which is put of
Mm-hmm.
all the
Mm-hmm.
people who have laid lives for the
Right. Yeah,
yeah
nation.
for the nation. And जब मैं वहां पे वो रोल ऑफ ऑनर में सुशील का नाम देखती हूँ I feel this very place we were together we passed out from this place and
Right,
today he
right,
is not there. So it's,
right,
it's a
right.
very different
Yeah,
mix of emotions that you
absolutely.
hold.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know that he uh, and after that the most interesting part is your drill ustads address you as sub, and
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes a it is like a really uh, you know you feel that kal tak hi aapke guru, I mean of course they are always a guru, but today they are calling you as sab, they are
Some
addressing you with the rank. So it brings
the
immense joy
transition
to
of
you, immense joy.
transition of sorts, transition of sorts.
Yeah, it is just like that, like a butterfly coming from the pupa. It is just that feeling that, oh, you have done it.
Mm-hmm. So, ma'am, before we turn to your other accolades in your career, other achievements, briefly about our tenure in Tejpur, because that is where we came across, and I came to know you as the officer you are. So, little bit about your tenure in Tejpur before we round off to other areas.
Um, the last tenure in Tezpur was a little different from the first one, of course, because I had
Mhm.
already gained a lot of experience. Um,
Yes.
and of course, the socio-political scenario, the scenario of insurgency, everything had changed.
Changed.
I mean, that was the first time I would say I, as an intelligence operative, got the opportunity to see how your efforts as a team, the whole team, and now I'm talking from the whole unit perspective, how that has really brought certain transformations, in the
Absolutely.
social political scenario, and how the role of intelligence, how the intelligence matrix, how the entire framework has changed. And it was very, very heartwarming to meet some real old hands who and they all remembered. That's the most beautiful
Mhm.
part. They all
Mhm.
remembered when I went and interacted with them, and it was a very different experience for me, because आपने आपने वहाँ के इंसिडेंसी सिनेरियो को एक तरीके से देखा है, and now
देखा
it is
कि
little different.
changed.
It almost it almost feels like, those names, those those your target entities, those names. अरे इनको तो जानते हैं. अरे you know, because you have been profiling these people,
Yeah,
and when
yeah,
you will
yeah.
understand this, Navjot, when you're in this field, when you profile people, you almost start feeling as if you know them, or you have been
Yeah,
with them.
nitty-gritties we have to, get
Yes.
across. Yeah.
Yes, so that background knowledge helped me a lot when I came back to the Assam Hills, and yes, it was a very different experience for me. That's when I got the opportunity to work on non-verbal communication also. So that's where I
Mm-hmm.
picked up the whole
Okay.
thing, and I was in fact I had to work on some research works related to it, and
Yeah.
that whole experience was so I would say fulfilling, that I'm really grateful to those experiences. Today, if I'm able to contribute my bit into this field, it's, I think so, because of those experiences.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, ma'am, from your first tenure to your second tenure, I mean, the insurgency had come down quite a bit because
Very, very
my
different.
seniors would tell me stories
Massive.
about how Ulfa and NDFB people, they were, till 2015, 14, I think it was very active. Towards late, uh,
The worst was 2014, if you
yeah, yeah,
see. NDFB, the worst
yeah,
was
yes,
2014 when the whole massacre happened
absolutely,
in the
yes.
Bodoland. And it was, if you actually meet Bodos,
Very
it is
nice
very unassuming
people,
actually for them.
very nice
Yeah, they're
people.
very nice
I
people.
have, I've
But
met many
but
of them.
I always feel, I mean, that's where I feel, in case of insurgency, not in case of terrorism. Terrorism is a different chapter altogether. But in case of insurgency, there are many triggers that we as a social structure also give. There are many triggers that we as a political structure also give. And
Absolutely,
I'm very
absolutely.
sure your branch, when we talk of IB, it plays a very vital role in bringing that
Mhm,
balance.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I've been lucky to have witnessed that balance, that how we as different agencies can come together and we can actually change the whole narrative.
Absolutely.
That thing was so visible. That was so visible. The whole NRC, I was there, the whole NRC
Yeah,
situation, the whole CA situation.
CA time, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I never anticipated that CA will not get that blown up in Assam, but it will be get blown up in the whole of
Yeah, it
pan India. Of course, we were
was,
expecting that
Assamese
that it will
people were
be.
really, Assamese people were really particular about it because of their, their identity being overpowered by the influx of the illegal immigrants, or so to say,
That's
legalized
fine.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But at the same time, how they dealt the CA issue was more mature than how probably it was dealt in, say, Delhi or dealt in other parts of India.
I
You
think
know?
in Delhi it was more of a propaganda being built up because for political gains
Exactly.
as well. Yeah, so that is
Exactly.
rightly.
And sometimes, and that is where I want to give and let this be a good message for our viewers, especially the younger generation. See, uh, to address a social issue or a political decision, uh, it's better to go the way. Of course, you have all the rights to represent, but the representation should not be at the cost of disrupting the social harmony.
Absolutely,
You
ma'am.
know, not at the cost of that. And somewhere I felt Assam dealt it much better, if you ask
Yes,
me. It was much, much better than how it was dealt in the world,
absolutely.
in the whole country. Before we give opinions on something, it is very important to have full information. So this is where I felt that, pan India things were dealt differently, and some, I would say, dealt in a very irresponsible manner by us as citizens, because we didn't bother to have full information about the things. You know, we we didn't bother, and these days technology, misinformation is more than information in today's world. So it is very important that we as citizens information in a very sound manner. Let's not
Absolutely.
be in that that जैसे ट्रिगर हैप्पी होते हैं ना, वैसे ही हमें ना ये मोबाइल हैप्पी लोग हैं.
Mhm.
We just want to press the button and send some opinion, some trash of ours to people.
Right.
Assumptions is the worst you are doing as a citizen of this country. By sharing assumptions as your own opinions is the worst thing you can do to the country.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
these learnings. So after when you go there at the probably when you go as a lieutenant, your intelligence understanding is very tactical in nature. It's
Absolutely.
more tactical in nature. But when you go in after few service, then you become little strategic in your approach. Then you become more, I would say, you look at the larger picture. You start seeing the larger picture. And I think so
Ma'am,
that's where for a field operator, that ground experience matters.
it's very important. Ma'am, building on that one as well, many of the audiences or aspirants who are willing to join the forces or other parts of the government service, or for that matter, normal citizens also. I see certain sometimes there is that the nationalism, it kind of deteriorates into jingoism and hatred for certain other communities as well as certain other people. So that kind of because when you are
That
enrolling
is
to become
also
a,
wrong.
that is
That is
also wrong
also
because
wrong.
when
Hyper
you're enrolling,
nationalism is wrong.
absolutely it is wrong because that is what
Yeah,
happened in Nazi Germany, the
yeah,
anti-Semitism, and that is actually living in bad faith, as Kierkegaard, a very
absolutely.
popular French philosopher, has mentioned.
I
Yeah,
remember what one of my mentors always said that as an intelligence operative, you should not be biased towards gender, towards
absolutely,
religion, towards
absolutely,
community. You have no gender, you have no religion, you have no community. Whatever comes to you, your only religion is information. Your only
absolutely.
strength is information. And your only service is providing information. And keep it to that.
In
Don't
intelligence, information, and timely information. That is the currency. That is the important part.
absolutely,
If you're
absolutely.
giving wrong information, unverified information, you are sabotaging the entire purpose. कि उस चीज का purpose ही defeat कर रहे हो. वो नहीं करना है. और ये
Absolutely,
because
absolutely.
we
Just like
are
the
preparing.
doctor. I always say, I give an example of a doctor. A doctor, when he does a surgery, he doesn't see.
Yeah, absolutely. Ma'am, your voice isn't audible, ma'am. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Ma'am, you're not audible. I can't hear you.
am I audible, Nandita?
Now you're
Yeah,
audible, ma'am. Now you're
yeah,
audible.
yeah.
You're talking about the
So,
doctor as a doctor.
yeah. So, like a doctor, his focus is to do a proper surgery to remove that
Humor or
infection,
whatever. Yeah,
whatever it is. Similar is the job of a intelligence operative. His or her job is like a surgery. You have to have exact information. Where is the disease? What is
precise
causing the
information.
disease?
Mhm.
Where is the source? And
Absolutely.
then you have to work on it. You can't be colored by the assumption, oh,
Absolutely.
ये तो एक female है, या
Yes.
ये तो ये है, ये caste है. No, this doesn't happen. So we have to, again, to be a good professional in this field, you have to keep your biases, put it in a box, and just keep it.
Absolutely.
Even if you
And
have some thoughts, please don't express it and don't let
yeah,
that be a deterrence in your analysis.
don't let it come in your work field of operation. I mean, and
Absolutely.
not just in intelligence, ma'am. I would say in all areas of our operation, wherever we work, we should be guided
Absolutely.
more by what our task
Facts.
at hand is,
Yeah.
rather than our prejudices, preconceived notions. So
Correct.
building on,
So
yeah,
hyper-nationalism is again,
that's not
I'm
good.
saying it is not going to be of any good. Nobody is good, bad. Let's keep ourselves out of who's right, who's wrong. Our interest should be the national interest, whatever it is. It doesn't matter which political entity is sitting there. It doesn't matter who is the leader sitting there. That we should be least affected by all this. Our dharma जो हम बोलते हैं, हमारा हमारा धर्मा होना चाहिए only to collect the information. That should be our धर्म और कुछ नहीं.
And our
तो
Bible should be the Constitution.
absolutely, nothing
Constitution
less
should be
than
the-
that. We law of the land. I mean,
Yes.
even yogic texts talk of that. Our yoga texts, they say that to be a good yogi, you have to follow the yama niyamas
Yes.
or the yama. That is the your own observances and some routines, and of course the laws of the land. You can't go against the law of a land and
Yes.
think that you will be happy, or um, you can be successful.
Or else
So these
you will be
things,
punished with a Danda Samhita. Or else you will be punished
yes,
with a Danda Samhita. Yeah.
absolutely. So ये एक चीज है जो you know exuberance आ जाता है, and it's okay. I mean, they are
Hubris,
younger
that
generation, blood.
hubris, that hubris,
Yes,
yeah. That kind of,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's there. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, we all have been in that phase of life,
Right,
but
right, right.
still keep considering that technology can make it worse. Social media nowadays should have has become such an important medium of such kind of narratives, and
Yes, yes, yes.
it is very important that as citizens we understand that there are certain laws. You can anytime be put behind bars if you don't
And-
uh, if you do uh, too much of it, if you go against it, if whatever it is,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
it is
anytime be picked up.
very fine line there. Very
Very
fine
fine
line there.
line, very
Well,
fine line, and
building
not
on,
needed.
yeah, yeah,
It's not
yeah.
needed. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, building on to your journey in the field of yoga, and we can tell the audiences that you're a founder of Neera Wellbeing.
yeah.
And please tell us more about the importance of yoga, as we have now yoga being recognized internationally. International Year of Yoga is celebrated every year. So please
Hmm.
tell the audiences, and particularly the defense aspirants, the IB aspirants, and other government service aspirants, how important it is to not just have a sound body but a sound mind as well, and what importance can yoga play in that?
So, yoga is what? Yoga is union. Union. योग बोलते हैं हम. योगा तो हमारे लिए वेस्टर्नर्स ने ये दिया है, but it is योग. और जब हम योग के बोलते हैं ना कि जिस चीज का योग है, तभी वो चीजें ठीक से होती हैं. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because योग means everything is in harmony. You are in harmony. Your body is in harmony with your mind. You are in harmony with the laws of nature. You are in harmony with in the harmony with the whole process around you to fulfill or achieve a certain goal. That is योग, है ना. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं, जैसे आप अगर किसी एस्ट्रोलॉजर्स के पास जाओगे तो वो बोलेंगे इनके इनके हाथ में तो राजयोग लिखा है.
Mm-hmm.
That is योग. But
Mm-hmm.
to achieve that yog or to maintain that harmony, that's a different ball game. It is
Mm-hmm.
something like कि घड़ी अगर आप देखोगे घड़ी को चलते हुए, इट इज धीरे धीरे एक एक सुई हिल रही है,
Mm-hmm.
and you might not even notice when the minutes, मिनट वाला जो सुई है वो कहाँ मूव हो, वो दिखेगा भी नहीं.
Mm-hmm.
But behind that slow and composed and very smooth functioning of a clock, you have the whole machinery functioning. There
Machinery
is
functioning, yes.
constant movement happening. That is how is uh, that is how the practice of yoga is also there. अगर आपको एक ये योग का फायदा उठा, अगर आपको ये योग लाना, you have to harmonize between your mind and body. You have to put it through a constant churning process, and that is your
Mm-hmm.
preparation. That is
Right.
why preparation is necessary. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to sit every day and do certain meditation. आप वो ना करो. आप अपना 100% इन्वॉल्वमेंट रखो जब आप बैठते हो 1 घंटा ही सही पढ़ने के लिए. That is also yoga.
Mm-hmm.
You're harmonizing with your studies. You're harmonizing with your goal. And in a student's life, I think so that should be the most important thing. To achieve that harmony, if you have to be physically fit, you have to start running. That's the only way. And
Right,
and
right.
that is meditation for you. That is your yoga. That is your yoga practice. It
Right,
need
right,
not
right.
always be a set of asana or a certain breathing practice. No.
Right.
It is simply that if something is your goal, उसको अचीव करने के लिए आपने अपने आप को कितना उसके लिए प्रिपेयर किया
ट्रेन
है.
किया है, ट्रेन किया है.
So karma
Absolutely.
yoga, again, karma yoga is so beautifully defined. If anybody wants to read more about yoga, I think so the best book is Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad
Nothing
Gita.
can beat
निष्काम
Bhagavad Gita.
निष्काम
Yes.
कर्म योगा, निष्काम.
Yes, yes, Nishkam Karma. So you have to, Karma Yoga is important, Bhakti Yoga is important. No yoga is less than the other, right? So that is my advice to, or suggestion to all the aspirants or people who are preparing for different roles or anything in your life. If you want to achieve it, you have to be involved in the process, and that is
Right,
yoga.
right, right, right. Ma'am, apart from that, I mean, we see the aspirants, they are suffering from anxiety about the examination. There are other relationship issues, किसी का breakup हो रहा है, किसी का कुछ issue हो रहा है, तो वो पढ़ाई पे concentrate नहीं कर पा रहे. तो उनको आप क्या advice देंगे कि वो किस तरह से वो समन्वय कैसे maintain कर सकते हैं, ताकि वो एक
Very
अपने आप को, जैसे
interesting.
आने वाले 25 साल, जैसे हम कहते हैं ना, अमृत काल है, देश के आजादी के 100 साल होने वाले हैं. तो
Correct.
हमें ऐसे सिटीजन हमें वो सिटीजन चाहिए जैसे स्वामी विवेकानंद ने कहा, विद नर्व्स ऑफ आयरन एंड हार्ट ऑफ गोल्ड. दैट इज व्हाट इज नीडेड. तो वी just don't want only those people entering the defense forces or that to be strong. We need the entire 1.5 billion people in the country to be the champions of change. तो उन चैंपियंस ऑफ चेंज को बिल्ड करने के लिए आपका क्या मैसेज रहेगा उन लोगों के लिए कि वो अपने आप को मॉरली, स्पिरिचुअली, इमोशनली, वो कहते हैं ना आर्मी में, रीढ़ की हड्डी आपकी इरेक्ट होनी चाहिए. योर स्पाइन शुड बी इरेक्ट मॉरली, स्पिरिचुअली एंड फिजिकली एज वेल. सो व्हाट इज योर एडवाइस टू not just the aspirants but to the wider audience who will be listening to you, ma'am?
So firstly, in case you are getting anxious on of giving the exam and all, I mean these are very normal thing. Even we feel anxious about it. But what is important is उस anxiety को आप कैसे use कर रहे हो? Are you succumbing to it or are you turning it into your, you know,
Opportunity.
वो एक एनर्जी जो है उस एनर्जी को आप काइनेटिक एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट करके उसको
Right.
यूज कर रहे हो कि नहीं कर रहे हो. Second thing, let's talk about relationships. The moment if I personally feel, and it's a very human behavior, uh, when we talk of non-verbal communications also, or when we talk human behavior as in terms of that. If you say you are getting distracted by certain things, ये मेरे को फोकस नहीं करने दे रहे या वो मेरे को फोकस नहीं करने, it means you are not able to focus. It is not that कि आपकी गर्लफ्रेंड ने या बॉयफ्रेंड आपको नहीं करने दे रहे हैं. You are not keeping your priorities right. अगर आपकी priorities correct होंगे, these things should not affect. And if your priorities are correct, the person who actually should be in your life will
Will be
support
there.
you in that.
Will support you. Yes.
And if they are not, if they are there only for their personal selfish goals, then they will move out. तो
Let them
उस
go.
चीज में ना तो आपको बुरा लगना चाहिए, ना तो बहुत खुश होना चाहिए. Okay. So like in yoga we say this yoga is not for there is a whole shloka on this in Bhagavad Gita. This yoga is not for those who eat too much or eat too little, sleep too much or sleep too little. Okay. So
Moderation रखना
similarly,
है. Moderation.
moderation.
Moderation is important.
Moderation is the key. Moderation is the key, and
Buddha's,
it is very important.
Buddha's Madhyam Marg, always middle path is always the desirable thing. Yeah.
Yes, it is difficult, but you have to, if you want to be, if your life goal is to be a good citizen of this country of this nation and contribute in that actively, one has to follow the path of moderation. Moderation is not just that कि I stop buying something expensive and I give up on my मुझे आज अगर कुछ खाना है खाने का मन कर रहा है मैं उसको छोड़ दूं त्याग दूं.
Mm-hmm.
That is not moderation. Moderation is that okay, I am eating what I like, but I also know at the back of the mind that it is pleasure. It is
Mm-hmm.
momentary. है ना?
Yes.
अगर दोस्त ने बुलाया कि यार आज आजा बर्थडे पार्टी है यार ठीक है यार 1 घंटा मत पढ़ाई कर ले
Mm-hmm.
4 घंटा. इट इज
Mm-hmm.
ऑन यू टू डिसाइड. वो दोस्त आपके साथ आपका एग्जाम नहीं देने वाला है.
Mm-hmm.
आपको अपना एग्जाम खुद ही देना है. यू हैव टू गिव योर ओन एग्जाम. आप आज उसके बर्थडे पार्टी में नहीं जाओगे वो आज रूठा रहेगा कल रूठा रहेगा. बट टुमारो when you become an officer or you become an intelligence operative, he'll be the first one to be happy for you.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
what is temporary and what is permanent is what we have to understand. And this I think so, if their priorities are right, I think so the young generation should be able to uh, achieve their goals in
Right.
life,
Right.
you know. है ना.
Right.
एंड एवरीथिंग हैज अ एज. यू नो हम योग में भी 4 अवस्थाओं की बातें करते हैं.
Yes.
एवरीथिंग
Yes.
हैज अ
Yes.
एज. है ना. अगर आज पढ़ने का समय तो आज पढ़ाई कर लो. गर्लफ्रेंड बना लेना बाद में when you have a good bank balance. You know.
Right, ma'am. So, building on to that one, you are also a master's in philosophy in defense and strategic studies, ma'am. I mean, how many hats? I mean, you have such a diverse profile, ma'am. What to say? I mean, tell us about it.
You know, the most interesting part is not that whatever we see as diverse uh, is sometimes all correlated. Like people ask me कि Nidhi, spirituality is something very different from what you would have experienced in army. I said, why do you say that? Because intuitiveness is something which we all as intelligence operative we need. We
Right.
cannot do without intuitiveness. We have to have that thing. We have to be in harmony with wherever we are, the people, the land, the nature. You know, there is this, the whole fight is against the weather condition, the climate of that place, the people. And in that, you have to merge, you have to amalgamate with that setup. And what does spirituality speak of? To be in harmony with nature, to be in harmony with things. So anything like, you know, whatever you learn in life never goes waste.
Right.
I wanted to do this MPhil because, again, like I said, that when you are a young officer, your understanding of intelligence is very tactical in nature.
Right.
But to get a strategic understanding of things, you need to put in a little bit of learning. And
Right.
I think so that this whole experience of doing MPhil in Def and Strat helped me get add on more to that understanding.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, that's lovely. That's lovely, ma'am. Actually, I'm having a lot of insights into a lot of wisdom from your talks as well, and particularly demystifying a few things about the world of intelligence also. So, ma'am, before we conclude, I think you must be going for dinner also. It's been
No.
holding you for long. We have
I
time.
generally
We have
finish
time.
my dinner by 7.
Okay,
Yeah. We can
that's
take in
that.
10 odd minutes.
Okay. Okay. So we have a little bit of more time. So about the TED Talk that is coming on, that is coming. So your passion and flair for public speaking, and see, we'll club it up with what are the OLQs that we are requiring. And since a lot has been talked about for the officer-like qualities, the OLQs for the intelligence operative, and what would be your pitch for people who are desirous of joining the Int Corps or the Intelligence Bureau? What is the requisite skill set that is required, and how they should mold their personality for joining the intelligence, whether it is in the army or in the intelligence bureau? Yes, ma'am.
Um, okay, so the TED Talk interestingly has the theme as nurturing the next. So I'm really looking forward to that.
We
Not
all
going
are,
into
ma'am.
details,
We all are looking forward to that, ma'am.
not going into details what I'll be covering there, but
Yeah, absolutely.
what I feel as qualitative requirements to be, say, an intelligence operative in any force. It doesn't matter. आप मिलिट्री इंटेलिजेंस की बात कर लो, आप आईबी की बात कर लो, आप रॉ की बात कर लो, आप पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस की बात कर लो. The simple fundamental thing of being an intelligence operative is, firstly, as I always say, is to be very observant. You can't miss. You can't afford to miss the signals. You know, you can't. So if you read, there's this book, Art by the Way of Deception, by the Way of Deception by Victor Ostrovsky. It's a very interesting book, and in that it talks of how Mossad's train their intelligence operatives. And one of the assignments that they are given is, they are asked to sit. They're taken to different locations, and you're made to you have to, of course, you know, do it covertly. आपको एक particular subject या particular target दिया जाएगा,
Absolutely.
and you have to observe everything from there. Now this is where minutest of details, like, you know, if suppose let's take a subject, what are they wearing? Okay. I'll give an anecdote from one of the interrogations I did. The individual claimed to be a student and having worked as a steward in a hotel. And when I just told him to show his hands. Okay. And when he showed his hands, I mean, he got a nice thrashing after that. That's a different case. Okay. But when I saw his hands, it had the physical structure of the hand looked just like that of somebody who's a labor. Okay. जो हाथ में ना निशान ऐसे थे. So I asked him, ये निशान कैसे पड़े तुम्हें? So he had no answer for that. Okay. So I came to know that, okay. So there are indications. There are always indications. There are always indications. क्यों हम बोलते हैं? You know, we have often heard this quote कि to know a person, you should see their shoes. The shoes give a lot of information.
Devil is in the detail.
Yes. Yes. So if you see the shoes, you can come to know that they really what they are.
Right.
So you know, unconsciously or consciously, we give out a lot about ourselves in our non-verbal communications, in our way how we appear, and similarly people will give out. So you have to be very observant. Anything, हर एक situation या एक को आप एक scene की तरह लो, and when you see, okay, this is, you know, that newspaper में आता है spot the differences. That is the minute detailing which you should have.
Right.
So one is observant. Second is a very high degree of humility.
Yeah.
Rather, this should be the first one.
Your ego has to be below.
Zero.
No,
Minus.
Zero ego. Yes.
Minus ego.
Yes.
You shouldn't have ego to talk to a person who's sweeping with utmost respect.
Yes.
You shouldn't have ego while speaking to a convict. You should speak to a convict also with utmost respect. Every individual on this planet loves self-respect and would love to be respected.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you know. So sometimes, you know, it's good to surprise the convicts with that, and they will be like, "अरे ये इतने अच्छे से क्यों बात कर रही है मेरे से?"
So kind.
How can they be so kind? इसके बाद मेरे साथ क्या होने वाला है? So humility, very important. You can't think I am so and so. That won't work.
Yes.
And the third thing is, again, I will come to what we started with, grit.
Yes.
You should have immense patience, क्योंकि जब आप counter int roles में जाएंगे, where, you know, or even in acquisition roles,
Yes,
आप
yes.
सोचोगे कि you will get the meat of the information in one go, that is
No,
not going
no,
to
no,
happen.
no.
It will take you sometimes months, sometimes years to build the whole picture. And you might
Yes,
not be the one building the
yes,
whole picture.
yes. It is carried on from
It
one
is
officer to the
carried
other.
on.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I would also like to add on one more thing. Confidentiality. That is something you should build. Even
Yes,
your shadow should not know
yes.
what you are up to.
That is important. That is important.
Because like for a long time I remember, I mean even now, if my mother is watching this live, she would be in a state of shock by now that okay, my girl has been doing these things. Because she hasn't, I've never put them in the picture of what is happening,
That is
where am I,
required.
which unit. They only knew I am posted at a certain location, and that's
Absolutely.
all. And that's all. And sometimes I never even mention them. If I'm going on a certain task, I will never mention where I'm going. That's the
Sometimes we have to be off the
confidentiality.
radar.
Yes,
Sometimes we have to off the radar for many days on a row. So you can't just
yes.
reveal all
So
the
so
information.
your work is important. If you think that, maintaining confidentiality becomes easy.
Stealth is the most important USP of an. And ma'am, for the audiences, as we discussed in the previous our podcast also with you about the intelligence world, the demystification about the James Bond world and the actual world of espionage. So how about that, ma'am? How about that?
Uh, it good look in the good looks good in the
Yeah,
movies,
it looks good. Yeah, it looks
all
good.
this flamboyance, but that doesn't happen. Of course, we need such operatives also. We need such
Yeah,
operatives. Their demeanor is enough, and people will not doubt them. So that is another way of dealing
yeah, yes.
intelligence. One is, so again, at the end of the day, it is becoming unassuming. It is being unassuming. So it can be either ways, like this or like that.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but of course, it doesn't happen. See, I'm a more of a Jason Bourne lover, so
Yeah, yeah,
things.
same. Likewise, likewise,
So,
likewise.
yeah, I think so. The closest which media has, or all these art, the space of art has got closest to understanding and putting across intelligence is Family Man.
Yeah,
I think so. They have done a good job,
quite a bit, quite a bit.
quite a
In
good
fact,
job.
I
And if
would when
somebody
I watch
watches a Yari movie, that also is a good
that
thing.
is
It is
also
little
good.
technical,
That talks about
but
the
it's a good
DIA,
movie.
the defense intelligence, what happens there,
Yes,
and the Family Man was like kind of a deja vu for me to recount my experiences it's while serving in the bureau.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. So
certain,
I think so. That's the closest.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But yet, truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Ma'am, it was really lovely talking to you and hearing from your, diverse range of experiences. You are
Thank
also
you so much.
Fit India ambassador as well. So,
Yes,
I mean, I think we can go on hours and hours, learning from your wisdom and your knowledge and your wide range of experiences. And it was really great to hear from such a decorated army officer, Major Nithi ma'am, and her not just for defense, but the variety of other works that is doing. She's mentoring students as well for the SSP. She's guiding them. She's showing them the path, and that's what the leaders do. That's kind of leaders we need, and all of you should try to emulate and walk in her footsteps. You should follow. These are the leaders. Choose your leaders very very carefully because right now we see this in the social media world. We are being blinded by what looks as जो दिखता है वो generally होता नहीं है. तो आप अपने leaders बहुत ध्यान से चुनिए. Leaders like Nidhi ma'am who inspire not just from their work but from their demeanor, from the vision of a nation that we need to build. So closing comments from Nidhi ma'am for all the audiences and for all the proud young citizens of this great nation, ma'am.
I think so. I'll read out these verses I had written when I was preparing for SSB, and इसको बड़ा बड़ा लिख के मैंने paste कर
Okay,
रखा था.
okay, okay.
Um, um, compete with yourself, introspect your inner self, challenge your limits, and always say, I can do it. So that is the takeaway for all of you. And I hope all the very best to all the viewers, whatever phase of life they are in, they all should be contributing citizens of this country, and I hope they become one. And they are one. I'm sure many of them are. All of them are. We all are contributing in some or the other way. All the very best for that. 2024 has just started. Utilize these 12 months very, very carefully. It looks like as a lot of time, but it is very less time. And I'm very sure, Navjot, the efforts you're putting in for these children to understand nation building, to understand citizenship, and understand intelligence bureau and the field
Absolutely.
of intelligence, I'm very sure it will help them in the long run.
For sure.
And yeah, so all the very best to you as well, and have a great year ahead. And to all our viewers, have a great year ahead. And if anything, I'm just a ping away on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yes,
And
yes.
thank you so much for the kind words, Navjot. It is only these people, our viewers, that make it. They are a very important source of inspiration for us also to be on the platform.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So the
Yeah.
message from ma'am is like test your limits and in fact go beyond the limits.
Yes,
And adding on to that, I would
absolutely.
say sky is not the limit. It's just
Beyond
the beginning. It's
the
just the
sky.
beginning.
Yeah,
So
it's
challenge,
beyond
go
the
beyond the
sky.
skies. Chart those frontiers that are still uncharted. And for our
Yes.
Fojis, before we conclude, मिट जाते जो मातृभूमि पर बनते वो इतिहास हैं मिट जाते जो मातृभूमि पर बनते वो इतिहास हैं मस्तक शीख झुकाने उनके झुक जाते आकाश हैं. So ladies and
Wow.
gentlemen, boys and
Beautiful.
girls, Major Nithi, a veteran army officer, and we thank her for her time
Thank you.
and interacting with the audience and sharing her pearls of wisdom. We would look forward to bringing her again on the platform
Thank you
because one
so
live is
much.
not sufficient for Nithi ma'am. She's such a treasure trove of knowledge, particularly being a fellow intelligencer. It fills me with so much awe and goosebumps I was having all across while listening to those experiences of hers.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have
Thank
a
you,
good day.
Navjot.
Have a good year, and wishing all the best. Ma'am. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good
Thank
night.
you, ma'am.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.